I thought it was just another Christmas gift, but when I opened it, everything changed. Little did I know that the gift was just the beginning. Stay tuned to find out how revenge became my only option. My name is Jessica Morgan, and I never imagined I'd be telling you this story. 5 years ago, I married the man I thought was my soulmate, Ethan Morgan. He was everything I ever wanted. Handsome, charming, successful, the kind of man you dream about, the one you believe will stand by you through thick and thin. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was ours. I thought it would last forever. That's what makes what happened so much harder to understand. I never thought I'd be sitting here, telling you this, but here we are. It was Christmas morning, and the house was filled with the warm scent of cinnamon rolls, pine, and the soft hum of Christmas carols playing in the background. The tree stood in the corner, sparkling with lights and ornaments that I had carefully hung. Ethan had always been the one to set up the tree, but this year I did it myself, an odd feeling, but I didn't think too much about it at the time. We sat on the couch together, just the two of us, drinking coffee and exchanging gifts, a tradition we had built together. He handed me a small, neatly wrapped box. His smile was faint, but it was there. It seemed strange, though. Ethan usually had this excitement in his eyes when it came to giving gifts, but not today. His eyes were distant, like he was holding something back. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe it was just stress, I thought. The holidays had been hectic, and with work, things had felt a little off lately. "Here," he said, his voice a little flat. I raised an eyebrow, looking at the gift. It wasn't the usual extravagant present he'd give me, but I didn't mind. I just wanted to enjoy the holiday with him, the man I thought I knew inside and out. I tore the wrapping paper off, eager to see what was inside. But when I opened the box, I wasn't expecting what I found. An envelope. A simple white envelope sealed with a cold, metallic clasp. No card, no gift inside, just an envelope. My heart skipped a beat as I stared at it, completely confused. I looked up at Ethan, my mind racing. "Ethan, what's this?" My voice trembled slightly, but I tried to keep it calm. He didn't look at me. His gaze was on the floor, and his lips pressed tightly together as if he was preparing himself to say something painful. "Open it," he said, almost too casually. I reached for the envelope with trembling hands, my heart pounding in my chest. What was this? What could this mean? I slowly pulled out the piece of paper inside. It was a single page, but the words written on it were enough to make my stomach drop. "Jessica, I'm sorry, but this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I'm leaving you." The words felt like they were suffocating me. I could barely breathe. I read them again, blinking in disbelief, but they didn't change. I was frozen, my mind struggling to catch up with the reality of what I was reading. "Leaving me." I looked up at him, searching his face for any hint that this was a joke, a misunderstanding. But his eyes were cold, his jaw clenched tightly. He didn't even look surprised to see the confusion in my eyes. His expression was distant, almost detached. "You're leaving me," I whispered, my voice shaking. "Ethan, why? What is this?" He finally looked up at me, but there was no emotion in his gaze, no regret, no warmth, just a coldness I hadn't seen before. "I've been thinking about this for a long time, Jess. I can't do this anymore." I shook my head in disbelief. "What are you talking about? We've been together for 5 years. You can't just leave me like this. Why now?" He sighed, his voice low and almost apologetic, but it didn't feel real. "I think it's for the best. You deserve someone who can give you everything you want, someone who can be what you need. I'm not that person." My mind was spinning. What was happening? How had I missed this? Was I living in some kind of nightmare? Everything I thought I knew about my life, the love, the trust, the future we had built together, was crashing down around me. "I don't understand," I said, the words barely coming out. "You're leaving me for someone else, aren't you?" The question burned in my chest, but I had to ask. Ethan looked away, his jaw tightening. He didn't answer at first, but the silence between us was deafening. Then he finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've met someone else, someone I'm—" He stopped himself, like he couldn't finish the sentence. The air felt heavy, thick with tension. Someone else. The words echoed in my mind, each one landing like a punch to my gut. "Who is she?" I asked, my voice cracking as the tears started to well up. I tried to hold them back, but it was impossible. Who is this woman you're choosing over me? He stood up from the couch, avoiding my gaze. You'll understand in time, Jess. I'm sorry. I felt like I was suffocating. No, I don't understand. I screamed, the anger rising in my chest. How long has this been going on, Ethan? How long have you been lying to me? He didn't answer. He just turned and walked toward the door. Ethan, please, I called after him, my voice desperate. You can't just do this. We're married. We have a life together. But he didn't turn around. He didn't even flinch. He just walked out of the room and into the hallway, his footsteps echoing in the silence. I was left there, alone, holding the letter that shattered everything. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the paper in my hands. It was real. He was really leaving me for someone else. The Christmas lights on the tree flickered in the corner of the room, and for the first time, they felt cold. The holiday season, which had always been a time for love and family, now felt like a cruel joke. I felt like everything I had ever known was slipping away, and I was powerless to stop it. I couldn't sit still. I had to know more. Why? Why now? Why like this? I grabbed my phone and dialed Sarah, my best friend, my confidant. She answered quickly, sensing the urgency in my voice. Jess, what's wrong? She asked. Her tone was filled with concern. He's leaving me, Sarah, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Ethan, he's leaving me for another woman. The words tasted bitter, and I could barely say them aloud. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. What? Are you serious? What happened? He gave me these divorce papers, Sarah, and he's gone, just like that. He's with someone else. Someone he didn't even have the decency to tell me about. Oh my God, Jess, she said, her voice trembling. I don't know what to say. I wiped my tears, trying to keep it together. I need answers, Sarah. I need to know why he's doing this. I need to find out who she is. What happened? She paused, clearly thinking before responding. You need to talk to him. You need to get the truth, Jess. I nodded, though I wasn't sure if I had the strength to face him again. But I had to. I couldn't just let this go. As the day wore on, I knew I couldn't stay here, paralyzed by confusion. I had to get answers. I had to find out who Olivia was, why Ethan had done this, and why he had thrown away everything we'd built together. I couldn't just accept this, not like this. But as I sat there, contemplating my next move, my phone buzzed. I looked down at the screen, an unknown number. I hesitated before answering. Hello. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, cold. Stop digging, Jess. You don't know the full story, but you will. The line went dead. My heart pounded in my chest. What was that? Who was this? What did they know? I couldn't stop now. I had to know. What do you think is really going on? Remember to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and tell us which city in the world you are watching from. I couldn't sleep that night. The darkness of my bedroom felt suffocating. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the cold glow of the Christmas lights from the living room flickering like a cruel reminder of the holiday that was supposed to bring joy. But instead, everything felt broken. Ethan had ripped my world apart with a single letter, a letter that still felt like a weight on my chest. The words echoed in my mind, constantly playing on repeat. I'm leaving you for someone else. I tried to shut it out. I tried to push it out of my mind. But no matter what I did, the pain kept clawing at me. The worst part wasn't just the betrayal, it was the realization that I had missed so much. How had I been so blind? Who was she? Olivia. The name felt foreign on my tongue. I didn't know who she was. What was it about her that made Ethan walk away from everything we'd built? Was I not enough? Was there something I had done wrong? I couldn't stop the questions from flooding my mind. The anger, the confusion, the emptiness. How could he do this to me? The next morning, I forced myself to get up. I couldn't just sit in the darkness. I had to find some answers. I needed to know everything. There had to be something, anything, that would explain why my husband, my Ethan, had so easily turned his back on me. I reached for my phone, my hands shaking as I stared at the screen. There was a message from Sarah, my best friend, asking how I was holding up. I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. I was still reeling, too numb to talk. But the message gave me a jolt of reality. I had to face this head-on. I couldn't just sit here, letting the confusion consume me. I needed to confront Ethan. I needed to know who Olivia was, the woman who had taken my place in my husband's life. I grabbed my coat and rushed out of the house, hoping that getting out of the suffocating silence would help clear my mind. I drove to Ethan's office, a place that, until yesterday, felt like the center of our world. A place where we made plans for the future. Now, it felt like the last place I wanted to be. When I arrived, I could feel my heart racing. I couldn't do this. I couldn't face him not like this, but I had no choice. I stepped out of the car, my mind swirling with 100 thoughts. I walked into the building, my steps echoing through the empty hall. His office was on the top floor, overlooking the city. The space that had once felt like a safe haven now felt like an interrogation room. My hands were clammy as I reached for the door handle, taking a deep breath before pushing the door open. Ethan was sitting at his desk, facing away from me, absorbed in his work. He didn't even look up when I entered. I hated how calm he seemed. After everything, he seemed so collected. But I wasn't going to let him avoid me this time. "Ethan," I said, my voice shaky but firm, "we need to talk." He didn't respond at first, as if he hadn't heard me. His fingers hovered over the keyboard before he slowly turned around, meeting my gaze. The expression on his face was unreadable, like he'd already made up his mind. "I thought you'd be here," he said, his tone flat. "I figured we'd talk eventually." I couldn't stand how nonchalant he sounded. "What's going on, Ethan?" I demanded, my voice trembling with the weight of my emotions. "Why? Why her?" He stood up from his desk, walking toward the window, avoiding my gaze. "Jess," he sighed, "I've told you, it's over. You're better off without me. We were never meant to be." His words hit me like a slap to the face. We were never meant to be. How could he say that? How could he just erase everything we'd been through together, everything we had built? "Who is she, Ethan?" I asked again, my voice breaking as I tried to control my tears. "Who is Olivia?" Ethan turned back toward me, his face expressionless. "It doesn't matter anymore," he said softly, as if the answer didn't matter. "You deserve better than me. She's someone who understands me, Jess. She doesn't judge me the way you did." His words crushed me. I felt my knees buckle slightly as the realization hit. Had I been blind all this time? What did he mean by understands? What did Olivia have that I did? "What does she have that I do?" I whispered, the question slipping out before I could stop it. My voice trembled as I spoke. Ethan hesitated. He looked at me, almost as if he were choosing his words carefully. "She makes me feel alive, Jess. You don't understand, but I'm sorry. This is the way it has to be." I was shaking now, my heart pounding in my chest. "You don't get to just walk away like this, Ethan. After everything we've been through, after everything we've shared, you can't just throw it all away." But his face remained cold. He didn't flinch. He didn't apologize. "I'm sorry it had to be this way," he said, his voice as empty as his gaze. "I never wanted to hurt you, but you'll understand one day." I stood there in stunned silence, every word he said cutting deeper and deeper. I couldn't believe it. How could this happen? After all these years, all the moments we had shared, he was leaving me for someone else. I stumbled backward, trying to gather my thoughts. "I don't believe you," I said, my voice full of anger. "I'm not just going to let you walk away from me. I need answers. I need to know the truth." But Ethan was already walking toward the door. He stopped just before he left, his hand on the doorknob. He turned his head slightly, glancing back at me. "You'll find the truth, Jess, but it's not what you think. It's already too late." And just like that, he walked out, gone. I stood there, alone in his office, feeling like I was drowning. How had he done this? How had he turned his back on me so easily? I couldn't sit here anymore. I needed to know more. I needed to understand everything. I couldn't let him destroy everything without knowing why. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, my mind racing. I couldn't go back to the house. I couldn't go back to the place that felt like a lie now. I needed answers. I had to find out who Olivia was, why Ethan had thrown me away like this. There had to be more to this story. I sat in my car outside Ethan's family's estate, my hands shaking. I knew this was risky, but I couldn't stay in the dark. I had to know who Olivia was. I had to know if there was more to this than I realized. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding as it swung open. It was his sister, Samantha. She looked at me with a strange mix of pity and discomfort. "What are you doing here, Jessica?" "I need to talk to you," I said, my voice shaking but firm. "I need to know about Olivia. I need to understand why Ethan is doing this to me." Samantha hesitated, her eyes darting nervously to the side. "Jessica, I don't think you're ready to hear the whole truth." "Tell me," I demanded. "Tell me who she is, what's really going on." She stepped aside, letting me in. But what I was about to learn would change everything. Samantha finally opens up, revealing that Olivia is not just a woman from Ethan's past. She's someone from Jessica's own life. But what does that mean? How is Olivia connected to Jessica's world? And what secrets has Ethan been hiding from everyone, including his own family? I couldn't breathe. The moment Samantha had opened the door to her family's mansion, I thought I would finally get the answers I desperately needed. Instead, I walked straight into the whirlwind of uncertainty and betrayal. Olivia. The name she had mentioned, it sent a chill through me. I never expected to hear it from her lips. Olivia wasn't just some woman from Ethan's past. She was connected to me in ways I never thought possible. But Samantha wasn't ready to spill all the details, at least not yet. She had told me the truth. Olivia was someone I knew, someone close. And the more I pressed her, the more she avoided my questions. But what I did learn made my stomach twist. Samantha had been cryptic, but the shock of hearing Olivia's name had already shattered my world. I couldn't focus on the details of the conversation. My mind was elsewhere, racing. How long had Ethan been hiding this? I paced around Samantha's living room, my thoughts spinning in circles, unsure of where to go next. Ethan had left me with only fragments of the truth, and I couldn't rest until I pieced everything together. What had I missed? Why didn't I see this coming? "Jessica, sit down." Samantha's voice broke through my thoughts. I hesitated but finally took a seat. I wasn't about to back down, not now. "You're hiding something from me," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "I know you are. Tell me what's going on. Tell me everything about Olivia." Samantha bit her lip, and I saw her eyes flicker with something, guilt, fear. "I can't give you everything, Jess. Not yet. There are things that even you don't know." "What things?" My heart raced. "What aren't you telling me?" Samantha sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I don't want to be the one to say it, but Olivia was never just a friend of Ethan. She was part of your life, a part of your family." My breath caught in my throat. "What do you mean?" Samantha's voice dropped to a whisper. "I know this is hard to believe, I really do, but Olivia was once close to you. You used to live with her." A flood of memories came rushing back. My mind was a tangled mess of fragments, trying to remember. Olivia, the name was so familiar, but it wasn't until Samantha spoke that the pieces began to fall into place. She wasn't just a stranger, she was a shadow from my past. The realization hit me like a freight train. I remembered her now, the woman who had once been my best friend, someone I trusted like a sister. She had disappeared from my life years ago after a mysterious falling out, but I never knew why. The betrayal was almost too much to comprehend. I stared at Samantha, stunned. "You're telling me that Ethan has been seeing her, Olivia, all this time, the same woman I once shared everything with?" Samantha nodded, her face full of regret. "I'm so sorry, Jess. You had no idea, did you? Ethan never told you the truth, but he and Olivia, they've been in contact for a long time. She was always there in the background." I felt dizzy, like the ground was slipping beneath me. Ethan, my husband, had been hiding this from me. All this time, he'd been seeing the woman I once trusted, the woman who had disappeared from my life without a trace, leaving me brokenhearted. And now I was supposed to believe that this woman was the one Ethan had been so desperate to leave me for. My head swam as I tried to make sense of it. How had I not seen this? How could Ethan, the man I had built my life with, betray me in such a profound, calculated way? The walls seemed to close in on me. The life I had so carefully constructed, my marriage, my trust in Ethan, felt like a crumbling house of cards. Why did Ethan keep this from me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Why didn't he tell me? Why would he destroy everything for Olivia? Samantha remained silent for a moment, clearly struggling with the weight of the situation. Finally, she spoke, her voice quiet but laden with emotion. It's not just about Olivia, Jess. Ethan's been hiding a lot from you. Things you don't know about his family, things that have shaped him in ways you can't even imagine. What do you mean? I asked, my pulse quickening. Samantha glanced at the door as if she was making sure no one was listening. Then she leaned in closer. Ethan has always been a part of his family's empire, a criminal empire, Jess. You know about his family's wealth, but you don't know how it was made. Ethan, he's been involved in things he never told you about. My heart stopped. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this what Ethan had been hiding all these years? The person I had married, the man I trusted with everything, had been part of something dark, something illegal. How could I have missed that? What are you talking about, Samantha? My voice trembled. What kind of things? She lowered her voice, barely a whisper. Ethan's family, they're involved in more than just business. They're mixed up with corruption, fraud, money laundering. Things I'm not even sure you can imagine. Ethan had to play the part of the perfect husband, the charming businessman. But it was all a facade, Jess. I couldn't process it. It was like I was hearing about someone else's life, not my own. The man I had loved, the man I trusted with my heart, had been living a double life, and I had been too blind to see it. Why are you telling me this now? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Samantha shook her head. I tried to warn you, Jess, but you wouldn't listen. You wanted to believe that Ethan was everything he showed you, everything you thought he was. But he's not. He's a part of something much darker. Olivia isn't just a lover. She's been involved in his family's plans, too. She knows things about Ethan that you'll never understand. I was reeling. My entire world had just been turned upside down. Not only had Ethan betrayed me with Olivia, but now I was hearing that his family, his entire life, had been a lie. The man I married had been hiding who he really was, who he really worked for, and I had been none the wiser. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I jumped at the sound, my heart racing as I pulled it out. The message on the screen made my blood run cold. Stop digging. You have no idea what you're up against. If you want to know the truth, it's already too late. The words sent a shock of fear through me. Who was sending me these cryptic messages? Who knew I was digging for the truth? Was someone watching me? Who sent this? I asked, my voice trembling. Samantha's eyes widened. Who's sending you messages? I shook my head. I don't know. I've been getting these weird messages all day. Someone doesn't want me to uncover the truth. Someone wants me to stop looking. Samantha's face turned pale. Jess, you need to be careful. This isn't just about Ethan and Olivia. This is about something much bigger, something dangerous. The room suddenly felt too small. The walls closed in around me as I realized just how deep this rabbit hole went. I had uncovered a dark world of secrets and lies, and now I couldn't walk away from it. I had to know the truth. Just as Samantha was about to speak, my phone buzzed again. The message was simple. You don't know who you're dealing with. Keep digging and you'll regret it. I couldn't stop shaking as I stared at my phone. The message from an unknown number, the cryptic words, you don't know who you're dealing with. Keep digging and you'll regret it. The weight of it hung over me like a cloud. I had only just begun to unravel the secrets Ethan had hidden from me for so long, and now it felt like I was standing on the edge of something far bigger, something far darker. Who was sending these messages? What did they know about me? About Ethan? What were they threatening me with? I turned to Samantha, who was still sitting across from me, her face pale, her lips pressed into a thin line. She was nervous, and I could see it. I could feel it in the way she avoided my eyes and fiddled with the sleeve of her jacket. Samantha, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos swirling inside me. I need you to tell me everything. I need to know what's really going on. What is Ethan involved in? Why is this so much bigger than just me and him? Samantha shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I've told you enough, Jess. I don't know how much more you can handle. I could feel the frustration rising in me. I can handle it, I said, my tone firmer now. I need to know who Ethan really is. What kind of life has he been living? And what about his family? What is he really hiding? Samantha looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers together. For a moment, she said nothing, and I could feel the tension building between us. She was withholding something. I could sense it. She knew more. Please, I whispered, leaning forward. I need the truth. I've already lost everything. Don't make me lose myself too. Samantha took a deep breath, her eyes flickering with hesitation. Then, finally, she spoke, her voice low and heavy with regret. Ethan's family, she began, her words coming out slow, deliberate. They're not who you think they are. They've been involved in things that go way beyond business deals and investments. I've heard rumors about them for years. Ethan's father, Richard Morgan, was never just a businessman. He was tied up with things you wouldn't want to know about. And now, Ethan, he's in deeper than you can imagine. I felt a chill spread through my body as I listened to Samantha's words. It was as if a shadow had descended over the room. Ethan's father, Richard Morgan. I had always known him as a wealthy, powerful man, but illegal activities. My mind was reeling. What had Ethan gotten himself into? What kind of things? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. What's he involved in? Samantha hesitated again. I could see the fear in her eyes. She didn't want to say it, but it was clear she had to. Ethan's family is involved in more than just money. They've been running a network. I've heard rumors about money laundering, even bribery and extortion. It's all tied up in the businesses they own, the investments they've made. But the worst part? They've been using their wealth and power to manipulate people, control them, and if they don't get what they want, they destroy lives. I felt the floor fall away beneath me. Manipulate people, destroy lives. This wasn't just about an affair. This was about something much darker, something sinister. I don't understand, I whispered, my heart pounding. How could Ethan be a part of this? How could he do all of this and not tell me? Samantha looked at me, her eyes filled with pity and regret. Because he didn't have a choice, Jess. He was born into it. His family made sure of that. They groomed him for this life. He had to play along or he would have lost everything. My head was spinning. Ethan, the man I had loved, the man I thought I knew, had been living a life I couldn't even imagine. Was this what he had been hiding from me all along? Had he been involved in these dangerous dealings for years, using me to cover up his tracks? Had I been nothing more than a pawn in his game? I stood up suddenly, feeling the walls close in around me. I couldn't stay in this room for another second. I had to get out. I needed answers. I had to confront Ethan. I didn't waste any more time. I couldn't. I had already lost too much. And I wasn't about to walk away without the answers I deserved. The Morgans, Ethan's family, needed to be confronted. I needed to understand just how deep their involvement in these illegal activities went. And Ethan, he was going to have to face the consequences of his actions. I drove to the Morgan family estate, feeling a surge of anger with every mile I drove. It was a massive, imposing house, grand, beautiful, and cold. The gates opened as I approached, the guards recognizing my car. I parked and walked to the front door, my heart racing with every step I took. When the door opened, it was Cynthia Morgan, Ethan's mother, who greeted me. Her smile was tight, her eyes wary. She had always been polite but never warm. Today, she looked downright uncomfortable. "Jessica," she said, her voice smooth but strained. "What a surprise. I didn't expect to see you here today." I didn't waste any time. "I need to talk to you," I said, my voice firm. "I need to know the truth about Ethan, about his family, everything." Cynthia's face faltered for a split second, then quickly regained its composure. "I don't think this is the right time, Jessica. You've been through a lot." "I need to know about the family business, Cynthia," I interrupted, my frustration bubbling over. "I need to know what Ethan has been involved in. I know it's not just about money. I know there's more, so don't lie to me." Her expression hardened, and I could see the walls coming up. "Jessica, please, this is not something you want to understand. Some things are better left alone. I stepped closer, determined not to back down. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what Ethan has been hiding from me. There was a long pause, and I could see the tension in her face, the internal battle she was fighting. Then, finally, she spoke, her voice low. "You don't know what you're asking, Jessica," she said. "Ethan is too far into this. He's part of something much bigger than you can even imagine. The business, the family, it's not just money, it's power. And once you're in, there's no way out." I felt my stomach drop. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ethan had been living in this world of manipulation and darkness, and I had been completely blind to it. Cynthia took a deep breath before continuing. "You can't change it, Jessica. It's too late." Too late. The words hit me harder than anything Ethan had said. Too late for what? To fix this? To save my marriage? To protect myself from whatever it was Ethan had gotten involved in? I stood there, frozen, trying to process everything. But all I could think of was Ethan. Ethan, who had been hiding all of this from me, had been lying to my face every single day. And now I was caught in the middle of it all. I couldn't breathe. My body felt frozen, the air thick with a tension I couldn't escape. Ethan had built a life with me, promised me the world, and now, in a blink, everything had unraveled. It wasn't just the betrayal, not just the affair with Olivia, but the realization that he had been hiding an entire other life from me. And with it, the cruel twist. I wasn't just part of the mess. I was the victim of a much bigger plan. Sitting in my car outside Ethan's office, I couldn't stop shaking. The past few days had been a blur of half-truths, cryptic messages, and family secrets. Ethan's mother, Cynthia, had given me a glimpse into the truth, but I still didn't know enough. The feeling of not knowing the full picture, not understanding the full extent of Ethan's lies and his family's involvement, ate away at me. What was I really up against? And how far had Ethan gone? I knew I had to confront him, finally, face to face. My heart hammered in my chest as I made my way up to his office building. The building, the very same one we had once shared moments of success and planning together, now felt like the backdrop of a nightmare. My footsteps echoed in the empty hall as I walked toward the elevator, the walls closing in with each step. Why didn't I see it sooner? I wondered again, replaying all the moments I thought were normal. All the little signs I had ignored. Ethan's distracted demeanor, the long hours, his insistence that everything was fine when it clearly was. I was so lost in my thoughts that I almost missed the elevator door opening. Stepping inside, I looked at my reflection in the glass doors, disheveled, teary-eyed, but determined. I had to find the truth. I had to take control. I took a deep breath as the elevator moved up. The door opened to Ethan's office floor. My stomach twisted in knots. He wasn't just my husband anymore, he had become a stranger. Someone I didn't recognize, someone I had no idea how to fight. When I walked into his office, Ethan was sitting behind his desk. The usual calm, collected man I had married was gone. His posture was tense, his gaze far away, but there was something in the air between us that felt different. There was no warmth in his eyes, no trace of the affection I had once seen there. He looked up when I entered but didn't say anything at first. His lips were tight, his jaw set. I didn't wait for him to speak. I had waited long enough. "You've destroyed everything, Ethan," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, though it felt like I was screaming inside. "Do you even realize what you've done?" He sighed, his fingers lightly tapping the desk in front of him. "Jessica, this is hard for me too." "Hard for you?" I scoffed. "You've been planning this for months, haven't you? This whole time you've been lying to me. You've been hiding everything, your family, your dealings, Olivia, all of it." Ethan's eyes darkened. He didn't flinch, but I saw a brief flicker of something, guilt maybe. He leaned back in his chair, folding his arms across his chest, his voice flat. "I didn't want to hurt you, Jess. I never did. But this is the only way. You don't understand how deep this goes." "You don't get to say that," I snapped. "You don't get to decide what's best for me. You're not the man I married. You're a stranger. And what about Olivia, huh? Was she part of your plan too? How long has she been in your life? And why the hell are you still protecting her?" His jaw tightened, but he didn't answer. "I should have seen it," I continued, packing in front of him. I should have known, but you used me, Ethan. You used me to cover your tracks. You used me to protect your dirty secrets. And now you walk away like it's nothing. I could feel my chest tightening, my eyes stinging with unshed tears. He didn't care. He didn't care about me, not like he said he did. Is that what this is about? Ethan asked, his voice low. You think I'm leaving because of Olivia? He paused. Olivia is part of this, yes, but it's not just about her. This is bigger than anything you can understand. I stopped packing and stared at him. What are you talking about, Ethan? What else is there? He leaned forward in his chair, looking at me like he was trying to read my expression. Jessica, it's not just about you and me. It's about the family I was born into, the business I'm tied to, the legacy I can't escape, the choices I've had to make for survival. He ran his hand through his hair, clearly exhausted. You don't know the whole story. You don't know what it's like to be in my position. Survival. I felt the word punch me in the stomach. Survival? You think leaving me is about survival? I whispered. What did I ever do to deserve this? His eyes flickered with something almost like regret, but it quickly vanished. You deserve better than I can give you, Jess. The life I've been living, this isn't the life you signed up for. You need to be free, and so do I. I couldn't even process what he was saying anymore. The Ethan I had loved wasn't here anymore. There was nothing left but the hollow version of him sitting in front of me. Why now, Ethan? I whispered, my voice shaking with the weight of the words. Why do this now, on Christmas? Why not a year ago or 2 years ago? Why Christmas? Why now? He stood up abruptly, walking to the window, his back to me. The timing, I didn't plan it like this, Jess. You just weren't seeing it. This was always the plan. You were part of the plan, but it's not your fault, it's mine. The plan, I repeated, stunned. What do you mean? I've been building this life for years, Jess. The business, the investments, the people I've worked with, it's all been part of this. The only way I could escape was to sever all ties, to start fresh. The anger inside me flared. And you thought you could do this without telling me, without me even knowing. You thought you could just leave me and replace me with Olivia. I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you, he repeated, but this time his words felt empty. I'm sorry, but this is the way it has to be. I felt like I was drowning. This was the man I had married. The man I thought I knew. How could he look at me and say these things, as if it meant nothing? Just as I was about to speak, my phone buzzed in my pocket. The message that popped up was from the same unknown number I had been receiving messages from all day. It was short, but it sent a jolt through my system. It's not over yet, Jessica. You've only uncovered the surface. Keep digging and you'll find the real truth. But don't say we didn't warn you. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the weight of everything crashing down on me. It wasn't just the betrayal. It wasn't just the lies, the disappearing husband, the affair, the coldness from Ethan. It wasn't even the family secrets that I had uncovered. Those were just the tip of the iceberg. It was everything. I had been living in a twisted version of reality. I thought I had everything: love, security, a future. I had built a life with Ethan, trusted him, but in the end, he had been lying to me the whole time. He wasn't just walking away from me, he was walking into something darker, a world I was never meant to see. And now, here I was, standing at the edge of everything. The truth had already shattered my life. And now I had only one choice: to make sure Ethan paid for every lie, every secret, every minute he spent manipulating me. I had already uncovered so much: his family's dark business dealings, the connection to the criminal empire they were all a part of, and his relationship with Olivia. But it wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted revenge. I needed to know the full truth, and most importantly, I needed to see him suffer for everything he'd put me through. I sat in the dimly lit room of a small cafe in Raleigh, my hands shaking as I stared at my phone. The past few days had been a whirlwind, and now I was finally ready to act. Ethan had left me with no answers, but what I had uncovered was enough to destroy him. I had been quiet, calculating. I had spent days researching, piecing together every detail of Ethan's life, every lie he told, every manipulation he executed. I had been patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. But that moment was now. I had already contacted Sarah, my best friend. She had been with me through everything, and now she was part of my plan. She had helped me gather the pieces, helped me make sense of the madness. But she didn't know what was coming. I texted her now. "It's time. Are you ready?" Seconds later, her reply came. "I've never been more ready. Let's do this." I took a deep breath, feeling the calm before the storm. This was it. I couldn't back down now. Ethan's family, the Morgans, had always been an enigma to me. I had never understood the depths of their wealth, of their power, but I was beginning to see just how deep it all ran. Ethan was the son of Richard Morgan, the patriarch of a sprawling empire built on secrecy, lies, and control. I had never suspected how involved Ethan was in the family business. I had no idea how involved he was with the people who made up that world, the men and women who held strings of power that pulled the rest of us along. But I did now. I knew what needed to be done. I stood up, my resolve strengthening with every step I took. I could feel the cold, sharp edges of the world I was stepping into, the world Ethan had kept hidden from me, the world he'd tried to shelter me from, thinking I was too naive to understand. But now I did. I understood everything, and I was ready to strike back. I drove to Ethan's office, the place that once felt like home. The building loomed ahead of me like a fortress, the same building where Ethan had spent so much of his time, making deals, covering his tracks, hiding behind lies. The weight of the night's events hung heavy on my shoulders, but this time, I wasn't just walking into that office as his wife. This time, I was walking in as someone with a purpose to make him feel the weight of the choices he had made. When I entered the office, Ethan was sitting at his desk, his back to me. He didn't even acknowledge me at first, which, in a twisted way, almost made the confrontation feel worse. He didn't even care enough to pretend. He had already moved on. I cleared my throat, and the sound of my voice finally broke the silence. "Ethan," I said, my tone sharper than I intended. "We need to talk." He slowly turned around in his chair, his eyes flicking over me like I was just another inconvenience to him. "Jessica," he said, his voice low, almost bored. "What now?" I crossed the room, standing right in front of him. I could see the surprise in his eyes as I placed the photographs I had found earlier on his desk. Photographs of him and Olivia, photos that he thought I would never see, but I had seen them all. I had seen enough. I didn't wait for him to speak. "Who is she, Ethan?" I asked, my voice trembling with fury. "What's really going on? All this time you've been lying to me and I want answers. I want the truth." His face twisted with something between regret and irritation, but he didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at the photographs, and then his gaze slid back to me, as if weighing whether to tell me the truth. "You never wanted to know the truth, Jess," he said, his voice laced with bitterness. "You were never ready to hear it." I stepped closer, my anger rising. "I want to know now, who is Olivia? Why was she worth leaving me for?" Ethan's jaw clenched. He knew he couldn't lie his way out of this anymore. "Olivia is a part of my life that you never understood," he muttered. "She's been there for me when you couldn't be, and as for the rest of it," he trailed off, clearly struggling to explain what he had been doing. "The rest of it," I echoed, my voice shaking with disbelief. "The rest of it is that you've been living a lie, you've been hiding from me, using me, and now you're just walking away." He didn't respond. "I trusted you," I said quietly, my voice breaking. "You were supposed to be my partner, and now I realize everything we had was built on lies. You used me." His face softened for a brief moment, but he quickly regained his composure. "Jess, I didn't want it to happen like this, but I didn't have a choice. You're better off without me." Better off? Was he serious? After everything? The pain surged in my chest again, but this time, something else stirred inside me. Something darker. Something that was tired of being the victim. I wasn't going to stand here and let him get away with this. Not anymore. I turned to leave, but before I could, my phone buzzed again. Another message from that same unknown number. "This is bigger than you think. Keep digging and you'll regret it. There are people who will stop at nothing to protect what Ethan has. You have no idea who you're dealing with. The message sent a chill through my body. Who were these people? What were they capable of? I stared at the phone, feeling the weight of the threat. But I wasn't afraid. I wasn't backing down. I had already been dragged into this world. Now I was going to take control. As I walked out of the office, the weight of the situation settled in. The truth was darker than I ever could have imagined. But something about this whole twisted mess wasn't over. I wasn't going to let Ethan or his family control me anymore. And just when I thought I had control of the situation, the last message appeared. This wasn't just about Ethan or Olivia anymore. This was about a much bigger game, one where I was playing for my life. What do you think? What is Ethan hiding? Who are these mysterious people involved in his life, and what do they want from Jessica? Will she find out the truth, or will the consequences be too much to bear? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated. The secrets are far from over, and the truth is closer than ever.